we had her for a little bit, a week, we were prednisone and restored her health. That's been, it'll be 2 weeks Thursday. Hard. 4 dogs in 3 weeks. They were all elderly. But, that's okay, you know, we had her, we did the right thing for her.
All right, I'm gonna take off.
You're gonna take off, you're gonna go?
We're ready?
We're ready.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming or attending or watching. I'm Chris Cannella, Town of Barnstable Community Services Department, the Director. I'm excited to be here this evening. This has been a long process for a lot of us on the steering group, and it's come to this culmination. First, I would like to recognize and thank the members of the Centerville Playground Advisory Group for their dedication and perseverance in helping us through this process. I would also like to thank the many residents who came to our last meeting and gave us the input and valuable feedback. The Community Preservation Committee as well for helping us along with this project. And lastly, the Communications Department for assisting with us getting out the message and helping us contact and get in communication with the residents. This meeting is to review and discuss the changes that were made in the design in response to the community input that we got on January 31st last year. We heard your many suggestions and have incorporated those requests into this revised plan. Those modifications include planning for an updated ball field, addition of shade to the playground, reduction in the size of the parking area in the rear of the facility, reduction in the amount of poured-in-place surfacing, the addition of some artificial turf, and other minor adjustments to the overall plan. Our goal has consistently been to produce a final product that is safe, accessible, and enjoyable, and representative of what the community needs and what they requested. I'm confident that you will be excited with the revisions as I am. There will be an opportunity to ask any questions and have some open dialogue after the presentation, and at this time I'd like to introduce Town Architect Mark Marinaccio for a brief presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. As Chris mentioned, this is a review of the design that has been modified based on comments that were made at the last community outreach meeting. This first slide is a slide that Richard Ventrone, senior architect for the town of Barnstable, found from about 1910, 1920 of Main Street in Centerville. That White House on the right still exists today, but the roadscape's changed a lot. This was the existing playground. The wood structure up in the upper right and upper left corners, the swings, you can see the kind of the used bark chip material on the ground, and then the retaining wall near the parking lot that's failing. This was the schematic design that was presented last January. Basically it was a Pinto-sized ball field with a expanded parking lot and a new playground. The committee had the advisory group had gotten together over the past year and a half and discussed the design. We'd put forward a nautical theme for the new playground. Some of the takeaways from the last community outreach meeting were, I've categorized these into different categories rather than just the actual comments one by one that were made. General comments were they generally liked the seaside theme, that 5-year-olds want to feel like a hero on a playground. They like the idea of stores or counters. A scavenger hunt hidden throughout the playground would be a great idea. Increased shade and climbing structures in the playground is desirable. Keep a bigger field, perhaps a few less playground elements. Someone liked the vibe of the old covered bridge. Maximize availability of field of play areas versus parking. The field is used throughout the year. Save the trees near Main Street. Picnic area at the top of the hill with a vantage point to the playground would be desirable. Climbing elements. The suggestion of having several levels of dome structure that would be attractive to different ages and age children with differing skills and abilities, and that kids need to feel cool, and climbing elements help to do that. The teeter-totters with springs never get used because they don't move very much. Surfacing, poured in place, rubber surfacing smells when it's hot. Wood chips would be better to keep people at the playground. Better combination of materials would be a good idea for surfacing. The kids use the wood chips as part of the play. Musical play. There was concern that was expressed regarding including musical play based on noise for the neighbors. The ball field was a big topic. 40-foot bases aren't desirable. A 60-foot base path is better with a shorter outfield dimension. A 60-foot base path is great with shorter outfield. Keep the ball field. Keep the Little League field infield dimensions, but a smaller outfield. That would give 6- and 7-year-olds a chance to hit it over the fence for pop flies. Infield, outfield compromise is a good solution. For training purposes, the infield is the most important, and at the age group, the outfield is not needed. Parking. Additional parking is not needed. Additional parking is needed. Minimize the new parking. Library and church parking areas are designated for those buildings that they service and really can't be used by the public using this playground. And restrooms, will there be restrooms? And the comment for Centerville families, bathrooms have never been an issue. So again, this was the previous layout, and this is the modified layout. If I flip back and forth, you can see that the ball field has increased in size and shifted. The parking lot has been decreased, and we've redesigned and used some different materials for the playground rather than just the port in place. So what's changed? We increased the ball field size, reduced the parking lot, revised the playground access, reduced the port-in-place playground surfacing, revised the shade structure location. There was a comment about the old shade structure and viewing area was towards the building, and you might not be able to see the entire playground, so we relocated that. We revised the walkway to Main Street. This is the revised layout for the ball field. There's now a 60-foot infield baseline, 150-foot outfield, which is what the existing is. There's a new grass infield, a new bases, and regrading the outfield, a new backstop, a new outfield fence, handicapped access now, and I'll go into that a little bit more later, new benches, and an irrigation system. As you can see, the revised parking was reduced. What it does is it creates an 8-foot drop from the existing parking lot down to where the ball field is. The problem with this site and the difficulty with the site has always been getting from handicapped access from the back parking lot down to the grade. It's a 12 to 13-foot drop. And so what we're doing in this scheme is we're adding about 3 feet of fill to the playground area, and we're using this parking lot to drop grade about 8 feet. That allows us to have a sidewalk handicapped access into the playground from the new lower parking lot. It also provides handicapped access from the parking area to the ball field, which we've never had before. This also installs a sidewalk. Oh, the laser pointer works. Here, that gives you handicapped access from the upper parking lot all the way around, all the way down into the playground, as well as provides 4 new handicap parking spaces and some dedicated spaces for the playground itself. This is the existing layout of the existing playground. It's 10,600 square feet. It has a net climber, or had a net climber, covered bridge, monkey bars, 5 slides, a jungle gym, 4 swings, and some tunnel crawling elements. And this is the new playground. So you can see the difference between the two. These are laid over each other. So a little less area, shifted slightly.
Mark, point out the tree that we're seeing as well.
This right here is Molly's tree. So that tree's staying, and the tree line along here is all staying. So nothing's happening with the existing tree line. And so the new playground is 7,500 square feet of play area. It's accessible. It has a net climber. It has a number of net climbers, one in for the crab trap, which I'll show you later, the shipwreck, the ship itself, and the treehouse. It has 3 slides. It has 6 swings. It has a teeter-totter, a we-go-round, which is like a merry-go-round, at grade. It has a ship to play on with various elements. It has a sea lion, that's a climbing element. It has a store, connecting tubes, a surfboard, and a scavenger hunt.
What do the colors represent?
So the colors represent, I'll get to that in a minute with the surfacing, but the 2 shades of blue are 2 shades of poured in place, which has been reduced from the previous scheme, and the green is artificial turf, which is introduced as a playground element. So what that did is it brought in the green element that kind of represents the land in the seascape, brings in the light blue, which is poured in place, which is like a shallow water, and then the deep blue, which would be the deeper water. And those elements kind of for that seascape kind of match those elements. So the playground has a nautical theme. We have a 40% reduction in poured-in-place surfacing from the previous scheme. Has a bottle filling station, new shaded seating and viewing area, and a new walkway connection to Main Street. Playground equipment. Have a new walkway that comes down from the new parking lot. This is a treehouse element. This is a shipwreck. This is what's called the crab trap. I'll show you that in a minute. This is a ship element. This is the we-go-round, teeter-totter, the shaded seating area, swings, and this is a surfboard. Some of the materials, it's a wooden walkway that comes down like a gangplank to a brick paver area. This green here is artificial turf, and then the blue is 2 different shades of poured in place rubber surfacing, and then of course the wood walkway that goes out to Main Street. This is the ship element, which has 2 sections that are connected by a tube and these large slides. Steering wheels, climbing elements here. On the back side, there's this kind of unique climbing element that twists. This is the crab trap. There's talk about having climbers. So on this piece of equipment, you can climb over the top, you can climb through the hole, you can climb up here and climb through the element, you can climb inside, and there's various elements of play inside of that. Of course, there's swings. So there's swings for young children, for handicapped accessibility, and for the regular swings you normally see. And then here is the treehouse, which has climbing elements for a younger age group, slide for a younger age group. This will be some type of storefront. And then there's 3 other elements, the teeter-totter. This is the we-go-round, which is at grade and accessible, and a surfboard. And of course, there's a sea lion that you can climb on. And this is the shipwreck, which is kind of a net system for climbing and for play. And I have any questions? Comments? Yes, sir, Mr. Counsel. Sure.
Thanks, Mark. How are you going to retain the walls by Main Street and then adjacent to the front parking lot? Will that be stone or plantings?
So right now, if I go back to the first slide, you'll be able to see it. There's a wooden retaining wall that's pretty old and it's in the process of failing. Part of this project, we were funded for the playground through CPC, for the parking lot through the general fund, and we'll be revisiting CPC for the ball field improvements. As part of that, we're planning to replace this wall right here with a stone, artificial stone, or the large, we haven't really determined what that is. We need to go to structural engineer and replace this structure, because this is the upper parking lot here. This is all in real bad condition and is partially failing at this point, and needs to be replaced. So that'll be part of that whole ball field project that we're going for funding for after this meeting. Any other questions or comments?
Is there going to be any landscaping, what has existed there for years, was never really kept
Right, so right now, this is all, let me find the right drawing. This is all tiered back here. This is where the existing building is. We're gonna remove all of that. This is all gonna be wildflowers, similar to what we've done at other ball fields. It's been great. You don't have to maintain it. It grows, it's beautiful. It stops erosion, and it's been very successful for us. Along with not only that, but also the flowers and the kids and the playground. We thought it was a nice visual element as well, a learning opportunity. Any other questions? Richard, did you want to add anything?
I just want, is it some
You have
of
to come up, you have to come up here.
the new equipment, we loved the old equipment, it was very handsome, but we found that while the ship was more of a major component, there wasn't as much play, and there were places to hide in it, to be under it, which unfortunately we have to worry about those concerns in the evening and on weekends. So this new one is much more skeletonized, but there's a great deal of play. Almost everything on it can be used and played with. And the same with that crab trap. The other one was very open as well, but this has a lot of great places. And one of the things that's nice about it is that for a child, there's this illusion of being hidden in it. You're inside this thing, but in fact, everyone can see exactly what's going on, so your parents can watch over you. So that was we were very mindful of the need that came up at the previous meeting of being able to have a prospect on the kids and see where they are at any moment. And even the equipment allows you to, there's no place to really hide in it or to be out of view, so you can keep an eye on your child wherever they are.
So you're going to have access to the upper front parking lot and from the street?
Yes, so,
From the rear?
yep, so we were creating the new parking lot in the back to create handicapped access to the playground. There was, the existing access for the upper parking lot up here will remain coming down those stairs, and then we're gonna build a new raised walkway here with new steps down, just to formalize that. Rather than going down those railroad ties and taking a couple of steps, which are awkward, then going down another railroad tie, this will be a raised walkway here that will just go down to a regular set of stairs and down into playground. And then there'll be a new, revised, right now there's an existing Main Street connection here, which kind of heads out to the stores and the shops. We're going to maintain that existing location, but this will be a raised walkway to here and come down as well.
Will be fencing on Main Street as well as there is now?
Yeah, we're not changing the fencing, we're not changing the entrance at all there. I'm hoping that will be addressed. I'll have to coordinate that with engineering as far as the improvements for the sewer system.
That made something. Also, if you notice at the bottom right-hand side of that, from Main Street, right now there's a path that one can walk down to get to the playground that has all of those roots. There are a lot of trees there. We don't want to lose those, but we know that if we simply fill it in, it'll erode just as it has. So we're building really a raised walkway that will have steps down, and then as you can see, it's kind of cut off in this view. But on the lower right, there's almost a landing, a platform that's raised up that one can, again, see down into the playground. There it is. You can see it's a little rectangular block. Conceivably, you could even have a bench there. We haven't really thought exactly whether we'll do it or not. But there's that access is being maintained while not removing any of the vegetation and the trees that are established by raising it all above grade with a surface that no one can trip on because it'll have stairs and platforms.
Has a maintenance fund been established with DPW for all playgrounds?
I need to talk to Structures and Grounds about that. That was a topic of conversation as far as maintenance goes. One of the concerns when we're choosing materials is, there was a push for using a wood fiber. That's something that has to be maintained a lot. And when kids play with it, as you're on the swings, you kick it out of place, and then it's no longer protecting the ground. So that's why we went with the artificial turf. There's certain requirements for fall heights and padding underneath that, but once it's installed, and then the poured in place is also padded for fall. And those are low maintenance compared to some of the other materials.
Patty, just to add, we're trying to do a decision package through DPW, through Community Services, to make sure that all these new things, because yes, but not just the maintenance as far as the grounds or the wildflowers that you had discussed, but also the equipment. And so with the new playground consultant that we have, we're trying to put forth a decision package to make sure that someone is inspecting these things and they are being maintained, that we're not spending money and then not taking care of it. So that is on our radar. And as soon as construction is done, that is part of it moving forward, that we ensure that we have maintenance, not only to the grounds, but also to the equipment, that someone's looking at it. You're welcome.
Okay, if there's nothing else, then that concludes the presentation for today. Thank you all for coming.